What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug, and welcome back to SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, the road to WrestleMania, Mick James style.
It looks like I have a date tonight. I should end this match against Michelle McCool quickly so I can get ready. Let's shoot for beating her in less than 3 minutes, okay?
Another 3-minute challenge, another 3-minute warning, if you will. But thankfully, an optional goal. Anyway, I welcome you to a fine Sunday on the program. Once again, there she is, Mrs. Deadman, if you will. And there is less than no news today. It is a very barren and empty news day, but there are some things to discuss that I wanted to kind of get into here, and the first of which being the ridiculous travel schedule for the Raw superstars this week. I think some folks might not realize just how insane their schedule from between last Raw and then this coming Friday, right? So, Raw last week, or I guess technically this week, depending on what day you think the week starts on. Anyway, Raw this past Monday was in Hartford on the East Coast, right? Then they had their Raw house shows. They flew over to South Africa for a bunch of house shows over there, right? Just the Raw staff, not SmackDown. They're flying back for Raw in St. Louis, Missouri tomorrow. And then the greatest Royal Rumble is in Saudi Arabia on Friday. So that's literally 2 international flights in the span of 2 weeks. The amount of jet lag there has to be ridiculous. Like, how do you cope with that? How do you know what time zone you're in? And if you're thinking, oh, well, maybe roll up, maybe, people who got shook up to SmackDown, are exempt. And like, the bar was still there. And the bar's on SmackDown now. So, even the bar being put on SmackDown, they still couldn't escape having to go to those house shows, overseas. And then fly back, because they're obviously fighting Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt in the finals at the greatest Royal Rumble. So, that's just rough. It's just exceedingly rough of a schedule. Now, what would have made sense, I gotta stop doing that, what would have made sense is if they had Raw in the UK this Monday. Because every year, at some point after Mania, they have Raw in the UK, right? So, that would have been easier to, alright, you're gonna have Raw in Hartford, fly overseas, do your house shows, you're still over there technically, you're not as far as having to go across the Atlantic Ocean, right? Nice! Slingshot. Nice slingshot. Alright, here we go. And then do your Raw in the UK, tomorrow, and then you're already there flying over to Saudi Arabia. Not as far as having to do, a continent-to-continent deal, essentially. So, that would have been, better, but, yeah, I don't know. So, I guess to put the bookend on that whole thing is that they have Raw in the UK on May the 14th. So, that's not quite the timing on it. Didn't quite work out for them. Like, you would have wished it would have, but it just didn't quite get there. They get back from the greatest Royal Rumble, they have, another 2 weeks or so, and then back over to the UK. So, that's a rough life. That is a rough life of jet lag. And kudos, much respect to everyone on that roster doing those repeated multiple trips back and forth, because that is crazy. That is, it's usually, alright, you'll do the tour and then you're done for a while, and then in another 6 months or so. But having them back to back like that, and then having to come back to St. Louis for Raw is the part where it's just really just insane to me. So, I don't know. That's just kind of an observation on what's going on with the current day stuff. I got 25 seconds. Can I hit that Mick DDT? No! Michelle McCool not letting it happen. Not letting it happen. We're going to run out of time here. No! I had it. You saw it. You all saw it. I had it. Now she's just doing the Razor Ramon, just slapping the head. And I lost the finisher. So, alright, that's not going to happen. Optional goal have failed you. I've failed you. I knew you'd come. Michelle McCool, all of a sudden you're just tough. I don't get it. What? I didn't mean to do that. Okay. I wanted to get into the potential main event scenes on both Raw and SmackDown, considering the shakeup is now over. There's no more shakeup, right? So we've been shooken up, and now we have, you know, our rosters to kind of fantasy book a little bit and think, all right, well, who is Vince going to put where? And wow, that was a hell of a drop kick. Hell of a drop kick. And this kind of got brought up when I was doing a live stream, and people were like, well, who else's Raw main event? Like, who else, once they give the belt to Roman, which they obviously will, who else would be comparable to fight Roman? Not win, most likely, but who's going to be challenging Roman when he is the Universal Champion? And, like, the obvious first number one answer there is Braun Strowman. But, like, after and under Braun Strowman, you kind of got to start thinking a little harder, right? Because who else has been built up to that level? Because you know Brock's just going to leave. He's just, I'm going to... Like, if they're actually paying him $500,000 per match, he's not going to have a lot of matches, right? So, that's going to be just a non-factor. If Brock somehow retains the belt on Friday, which I guess is possible, but I have my doubts. But if he somehow retains the belt, then this whole conversation on the Raw main event scene means nothing, because Brock will still be champion and not defending very, very often. And if they're petty enough to have him beat the record of CM Punk, they could do that. It isn't the same belt. It doesn't really matter. But what they're saying is, oh, well, the longest...
all challengers, no matter what brand they're on. Just a few months ago, we were talking about how the Glamazon seemed unbeatable. Now it looks like Nikki has earned that distinction. I'm sure she'll have another hurdle to leap over next week. But until then, good night, everybody.
The longest reigning champion of the last 30 years was their distinction, right? And that list right now is Asuka, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar. So you're not going to get number one because Asuka was 510 days. And to keep Brock champion that long and not defend the belt is ludicrous. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it. I'm saying it's crazy.
Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole here from Monday Night Raw, live from Cleveland, Ohio. Last week, Mickie James seemed to hit it off with D. Brian Kendrick, but tonight, she's teaming with someone else.
Someone else?
That's right. The women's champion is taking on Michelle McCool in the Glamazon Beth Phoenix. But we don't know who her partner will be.
Mystery partner.
Figure it out soon. She doesn't have much time.
Kelly? Come on!
Just the girl I wanted to see.
What's up, Mickey?
Beth challenged me to a tag match tonight.
That's some tough competition. Those girls don't play around.
You can say that
Wait,
again.
let me guess. Natalia!
And I need to find a partner who isn't afraid of a fight.
Natalia.
Know anybody like that?
Well,
Oh, Mickey, I'll do it. Remember how I wanted to team with you? This would be perfect.
Natalia? I think Kelly was just going to...
I'm sure she was going to recommend me. I'll be a great
Okay.
partner. I won't let you down. See you out there.
No, Natalia, no! Anyway. Alright.
okay.
See?
Well, good luck with all that.
She gets it. What? What happened? What happened? What'd I do? What happened?
Mickey, I can't wait for our match tonight. I'm so excited to be teaming with you.
Yeah, Natalia, I know. I just talked to you, remember?
Me, along with the fiercest diva in the WWE. Awesome! I mean, you're Mickey James.
Well, thanks. Natalia, we still need a little luck, and we'll have to work extra hard tonight.
I'll work hard for you, Mickey. Don't you worry about that. See you soon. I can't wait.
I'm not gonna tag you in. Good God. So if we take the assumption that Roman's going to win on Friday, obviously you have Braun Strowman. We all assumed he'd be having this long feud with Joe, but now Joe's on SmackDown. So that kind of is not part of the equation anymore. Past that, we have the injured Dean Ambrose, due back in the summer. That's an option. But we don't know what brand he might be on. He might end up on SmackDown. We just don't know. You have two men who are still owed rematches, who never got their rematches. And that is Finn Balor, who never lost the belt, had to relinquish it. and that is Kevin Owens, who lost to Goldberg, never got a rematch. So those two are owed title shots at some point, at some juncture. We have the evergreen John Cena, who, will get a shot whenever he wants because he's John Cena, recognized, but also he's a free agent, so kind of not really part of the Raw equation because he's on both, right? So there is that. Obviously, at any given point, you could call up Rollins from being mid-card to top tier because he's Seth freaking Rollins. That's no problem. I suppose the wild cards here would be, do you put Lashley in that main event? Does Vince still have any faith in Baron Corbin to be in the main event? And then the chosen one, McIntyre. If Vince still sees him as a main event player, would that be a viable thing to happen? We shall see. Now, meanwhile, over on SmackDown, we have, obviously, the champ who runs the camp, AJ Styles, but then now we have Joe, and certainly Joe would be a top contender on SmackDown. Certainly Randy Orton, at any time, is Randy Orton, could be a top contender on SmackDown. Nakamura has been in that world title scene, that's fine. Daniel Bryan, I would hope at some point they'll put him in there, but that's if he can stay healthy enough to get put into that. Oh no! She's wearing the same tights. Natalya, what are you doing? Freaking me out. That's not right, Natalya. That doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. Anyway, now, will they keep Almas in the mid-card, or will they put him up to main event status? That remains to be seen. At any given time, if you take him out of the tag team scene, Sheamus is a former multiple-time world champion, can easily be put into a world title position. Obviously John Cena, because he's John Cena, and recognized. And then Jeff Hardy. If you take off that mid-card belt, you can easily put Jeff Hardy into a world title position on SmackDown. Been there before, can do it again, right? So, I think those are kind of your options for both shows there. And we shall see whether or not, or how they end up booking those bits of beardness, if you will. I'm very curious to find out. I'm very curious to see what they consider to be a main event scene on those shows. And then how their co-branded pay-per-views end up panning out for them, because I feel like just the mid-card there and the anything outside of like title feuds is going to end up just getting put by the wayside. Or anything outside of title feuds and Roman Reigns is going to end up just not being significant because it's not going to be enough time to put it on the show because you're having to put both brands on a show. So, I don't know. It's going to be curious. Very curious how that ends up panning out over the next, I guess, between now and, say, like SummerSlam. Because I want to know. I want to see how it goes. I want to see who they think is deserving of those shots. Who is end up hopefully carrying those brands here and there. So, also, Beth Phoenix, stop reversing my moves. I don't appreciate all these reversals for a Mickie James. So, let's give you some Mick DDT action. Or not. Or not. Look, I've beaten you both individually, so I think beating you... Oh, the tag. Of course the tag. And I can't get up. I can't get up. Is there going to be a cutscene or no? It's just a... What are you doing, Michelle McCool? Oh. Okay. That was some... Thinking. Gonna say, I'm gonna avoid... What are you doing? I'm gonna taunt you from here. She don't want none. She don't want none. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway. Anyhow, I guess more interestingly or importantly, given all the call-ups in NXT, how does this affect the NXT title scene for that world title? Because they got just torn up from all those call-ups. So, it's like, they were going to get back McIntyre, not anymore, and no more Almas, so who's challenging Aleister Black at the next TakeOver? It's a good question. Hip toss. Now then, Michelle McCool, you were just defeated like, 5 minutes ago. So, guess what? You can get that Mick DDT. Beth Phoenix managed to avoid it, but you can get it. So, gonna drag you back to my corner. It's not going to matter because only one finisher might not be enough to finish you. Oh, no! The roll-up! What? Thank you, Natalya. I actually appreciate that. For once. For once in your life. Do some work. So yes, at the very least, we'll have Booker T on commentary tomorrow. That is one good thing to look forward to on that Raw in St. Louis. With what I would imagine be a very, very exhausted Raw roster, having just flown back internationally. So there is that bit of beardness. I don't like how they don't use the tag ropes in this game. Like, I'm sorry, stay in your corner, put your hand on the tag rope. That's what it's there for. To stop running the whole friggin' thing, use the tag ropes. That's like the rules. Quit breaking the rules. Get over in that corner and get my signature. Once again. Once again. Get a signature and a finisher, and it will be over. I'll pin you off a signature. I don't even care. I don't even care. 1, 2, not even 2 count. Not even a 2 count. Alright, well, that's okay. Because Mick DDT for ya. Boom. Feeling it. I want to hit Beth off the apron. No. I want to hit Beth off the apron and then pin. It's not going to work now. It's not going to work now. Watch. 1. Yeah. A 1 count. You've had how many finishers now? What are you, John Cena? Come on. There we go. Mick kick. Pinfall. It's got to be it. 1, 2. We win. Hooray.
What a win for these two talented divas. They really excelled. Hey, maybe if you dressed like me, you'd be a better commentator. I don't think so, King. We'll see you next Monday, folks.
Not creepy at all.
Mickey, that was awesome. You were awesome.
Thanks, Natalya. You were great, too.
Really? You really
You didn't get
so?
tagged in.
That means the world to me, coming from you.
Yeah. So, anyway, I wanted to ask you about your outfit.
Oh, this? Isn't it great? I figured that if we were teaming together, we should match.
I guess that makes sense.
I just knew you'd feel that way, Mickey.
Yep. When does she turn? When does she turn? Seriously.
Thanks for joining us for Monday Night Raw, live from Indianapolis. With Jerry
hey.
Lawler, I'm Michael Cole. I'm excited, Michael. Two of my favorite WWE superstars are competing for the Intercontinental Championship. It'll be the Brian Kendrick challenging William Regal right here tonight.
He's a man, such a man.
Hey girl, phone tag. Thanks for agreeing to come down to the ring with me for my match against Regal. A shot at the Intercontinental Championship is a huge opportunity, and it'll be great to have you by my side.
Okay. Anyhow, that wraps up Sunday. End of the week. I'm Attack. Thanks for watching more videos every day. I'll see you next time right here on this channel, and I'm out.